All right, we pivot now to our CBS News polling on the economy. You're looking at Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes in our D.C. bureau. Nancy, good morning to you. There's so much that the polling discovered. I want to drill into one aspect. It shows just 22% of Americans expect the economy to be booming over the next year. People tend to vote based on the economy more than any other issue. So how might this play into the midterms?
Well, typically what we see historically is that the party in power suffers when Americans think that the economy is heading in the wrong direction. That certainly was the case for Democrats in the last election, the presidential election. And, it's something that the Trump administration is worried about now. That's why they keep sending the president out to give speeches about the economy. They insist that his focus in this, in this stretch this year from now until midterm elections is going to be on the economy, although other issues continue to creep in. What we've seen over time is that even if administrations insist that they're doing everything that they can on the economy, if Americans don't feel like their economic situation is getting better, then that party tends to suffer in the midterms.
So glad you emphasized how people feel, Nancy, because sometimes the data is different than how people feel. And the other piece feeding into that feeling is the job opportunities out there. And yesterday, the Labor Department reported December job openings were at their lowest level since 2020. Our polling shows just 28% of people feel secure in their own job. How does that add to people's nerves and their perception of President Trump's economy?
Yeah, President Trump increasingly in interviews, in Q&As with reporters has been insisting that the economy is actually really good, but that he just has bad PR and they're not getting the message out about how great the economic indicators are. It's very reminiscent, Errol, of what we heard from President Biden in the last administration, who said, people don't understand how good the economy really is. Yes, we know that prices have gone up as a result of COVID and tangled supply chains, but we've done everything we can to bring them back down. What that situation showed is that it's not enough to say you just have bad PR. If the American people are saying that they're frustrated, then that is something that you have to pay attention to.
Yeah, it may encourage some to change their minds on who they vote for, but we shall see. Nancy, thanks so much. Great to see you this Friday.
All right. Fresh CBS News polling is shining a light on how voters are feeling about the economy right now. Americans are still saying prices are increasing, but that view isn't as widespread as it was back in the fall. 55% of Americans say prices have been inching higher the last few weeks. That's down from the 64% who felt that way back in October. But more and more people are seeing a gap between the upper and middle classes. Look at this. 62% of people think economic opportunities have been increasing for wealthy people compared to only 16% for the middle class. CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi joins us now. So, Olivia, as you know, swing voters helped put President Trump in office, partly because of the cost of living. But now you're seeing this gap. Not only are people feeling that the wealthy are getting wealthier, they're also saying that it's incredibly difficult now to even own a house, things that used to be part of the American dream. So what is the administration saying about how that could influence voters in the midterms?
Right, and Americans are also feeling that there's less opportunity for them. Those in the middle class feel very squeezed, and this administration is aware of that. Remember, we've been talking about the word affordability, something the president called a hoax, but other parts of his administration are very focused on. Sources tell me that they're expecting Q1 to Q2 of this year to really be when this expected Trump economic boom is supposed to come in. They're planning, or hoping rather, that the tax refund system will help bolster that feeling that the economy is doing well. But get this, just 1 in 5 Americans believe that the economy will actually be growing or booming in the next year. That's from our own CBS News polling. So even though they're projecting that by Q1, Q2 of this year, Americans should have more money in their pocket with their tax refund and then therefore go out and spend it, the tariffs will kick in and there will be this big economic boom, a lot of Americans just don't actually believe that yet. And we're heading into a midterm season, as you mentioned, midterm election this year in November, and Americans are still feeling the squeeze of economic pain, which is why they voted the president into office 2 years ago. And if they can't try to change the minds of people by November, it'll be really interesting to see how this economic uneasiness, really, that Americans are feeling is going to change how they vote at the ballot box.
Olivia, you also have some new reporting about an executive order the president is expected to sign today, increasing Argentinian beef imports. I can't imagine American cattle ranchers are happy about that. What do you know, Olivia?
No, they are not. They are not happy about this. And this is a story we've been following very closely here. But yesterday, the U.S. and Argentina signed a new trade deal that would see the U.S. imports of Argentinian beef quadruple. Adriana, that's a big number. And even in a statement yesterday from the Argentinian government, they said the U.S. will grant unprecedented expansion of preferential access for Argentinian beef, allowing for an increase of approximately $800 million of Argentinian beef exports. As you can imagine, this is going to hurt U.S. ranchers and farmers and cattlemen who have been working on getting better access into the U.S. markets, but have been struggling with high prices, supply chain issues, feed, fertilizer, all of these things that we have been covering very closely here at CBS News. They have been struggling with, but an administration source I spoke with earlier this morning told me the president is still going to sign an executive order today allowing for that agreement, that excess amount of Argentinian beef to come into the United States, into the U.S. market. And all of this is to try to bring down prices, grocery prices, what we have been talking about, because the cost of beef reached its highest level since the U.S. Department of Labor had been tracking it since the 1980s. So kind of a tug and pull here. Do you help the U.S. farmers or do you help the U.S. consumers?
All right, Olivia, thank you so much.